Hey there, friends and fictional folk! So, you want to build a magic system. Maybe you're writing a fantasy novel, or designing a tabletop role-playing game. Or maybe you're just world building for the fun of it, and you want your world to have magic. You've watched all the videos on what makes a hard magic system versus a soft one. How you need to think about how your magic might affect trade, class division, and technology. Heck, you've even watched Brandon Sanderson's lectures about the rules of magic. There's just one problem. You don't know where to start. You've gotten so into the weeds of what makes a magic system itself that you're not certain where to begin building it. Luckily, there's a simple question to help you on your path. What do you want your magic to do? This may seem like an extremely basic question, but it's an important one that I've seen a lot of writers get hung up on. Don't worry about what the rules and limitations of your magic are for now. Don't worry about what effects it might have on your world. Just focus on what you want your magic to do, and then work backwards from that to figure out the rest. Do you want your characters to be able to throw fireballs? What about control water or conjure animals? How do you want fight scenes to look? Slow and thoughtful, or frenetic and action-packed with high-flying acrobatics and wuxia-style martial arts? Going back to my construction metaphor from before, you can't start work on a building if you don't know what you're building toward. You can't start with an empty plot of land and a bunch of tools and expect to end up with your dream house. You have to know ahead of time what you want your dream house to look like. To demonstrate this process, let's take a look at my debut novel, Strike the Match, available online pretty much everywhere books are sold. Now, my book is a reimagining of the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale, The Little Match Girl, as a high fantasy heist novel. So I wanted a magic system that had a strong fairy tale vibe to it. The problem was, I like hard magic systems. I like knowing all the rules of magic in whatever I'm watching or reading so I can figure out creative applications for it. Luckily, the whole book pretty much started with the question, what if the Little Match Girl's matches were actually magical? What if the things she was seeing weren't just the hallucinations of a dying girl, but portals opening to places with the things she desired most? So that gave me some ground rules to work with, the main one being magic items. If Enya's magic was derived from a set of magical matches, then it made sense that all other magic would come from magical items and artifacts as well. And this fits quite well with the fairy tale vibe that I was going for, since many of those stories revolve around magical items, like a magic mirror, a pair of cursed shoes, or even a magical animal skin that lets you turn into whatever the animal skin is from. But where do these magical items come from? Well, for that I turn to the other most common place that magic comes from in fairy tales, witches and fairies. I actually won't be getting into that part of my magic system now because that contains spoilers for my book, but as you can see, I never would have gotten to that point if I hadn't decided what it is I wanted my characters to be able to do with the magic. I wanted the magic to have a fairy tale vibe to it. I wanted it to have hard rules and limits. And I wanted my main character to have portal matches. Working from these ideas and certain fight scenes and action scenes I had bouncing around in my head, I was able to determine the rest of it. But let's take an example from a book series that's a little bit more popular. Let's say you want to write a dark fantasy heist novel. Any good heist crew is made up of specialists in certain skills, so that means your magic system needs to give specific individuals specific powers that are rare. But you also want some high-flying action scenes, and dangerous enemies that will definitely need to have access to more than just one of the powers, meaning you'll need an even rarer group of people with access to all the powers. So let's build that crew, shall we? Any good heist crew needs a charismatic face who can get you all those resources and connections you'll need to pull this off. You'll also want some muscle in case things get dicey, a lookout to make certain no one sneaks up on you, and someone who can disguise what you're doing behind physical and magical cover, which in turn means that there are people who will be able to detect that magic. And lastly, for all those high-flying action scenes, you'll need a lithe but powerful assassin-like character who can turn innocuous things like coins into deadly weapons. Is this reminding you of anything? It should, because I basically just described how I think Brandon Sanderson came up with the basis for allomancy in Era 1 of the Mistborn trilogy. Now, I can't say this was exactly what was going through his brain at the time he was building out allomancy, but it is certainly the route my mind would have taken. So yeah, that's my advice for how to start crafting a magic system. Think about what you want your characters and magic to be able to do, and work backwards from there. Figure out how you can get the kind of tone and feel you want from your magic system in your story, and how you can get the kind of action you were imagining in the fight scenes in your head. If you want something slow and ominous with strong witchy vibes, have it be based in herbalism and brewing potions, so you can get those great scenes of gnarled hags stirring a cauldron of bubbling green liquid. If you wanted to have a cult that summons terrible demons to set upon the hero, have arcane sigils and chants. If you want a magic sword, you might want a magic blacksmith. But this is the method that works best for me. If you have one that works better for you, I'd love to hear about it. Writing is not a one-size-fits-all endeavor, and there are as many ways to tell a story as there are storytellers to tell it. Share your favorite ways of making a magic system, and some of your favorite magic systems that you've created in the comments below. And while you're down there, be certain to do all those YouTube things like, comment, subscribe, as well as check out my Patreon. There you can sign up for monthly rewards, and you'll be helping me help my editor eat. And if you want something new to read, be certain to check out my book, Strike the Match. It is available pretty much everywhere that books are sold online, as well as in audiobook format. I'd love to hear what you all think of it, so be certain to rate and review it once you've read it. Every little bit helps us independent creators keep the lights on. Until next time!